there is this talk of addiction being a disease. Okay, Matthew Perry, who was one of the stars of the Friends show, if you read and listen to his talk, he talks very clearly about the disease of alcoholism and drug use that he had. And he laments that none of the other cast members had this disease that he had. And I think people are, going to fall into one of two camps is if it's a disease like cancer, how can you call that a sin? Did he really have any choice in the matter because it was a disease? Or is that just a scapegoat? Is that just an excuse? No, he made choices.
So what I would say is being predisposed to alcoholism is not a sin. That's not what we're talking about. Just like getting cancer is not a sin.
Yeah.
So, but would you say that someone who has cancer should be more mindful of, I'm trying to think of, let's say they have, let's say they're not alcoholic, but they have liver cancer.
Mm.
Would drinking alcohol be a good idea for them? Probably not.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the category of sin, I don't know. I mean, that's not like those scriptures are real clear on that kind of stuff. The scriptures are clear on drunkenness, not on something like that. But it's like, but where's wisdom? So I don't know. I look at it and go, yeah, I mean, it's not a sin to be predisposed to alcoholism. That's certainly, I would.
But it's still, but
you've got
gives
choices
us free will.
Absolutely. And so don't be stupid. And, we all have our thing. So you're predisposed to alcoholism. I'm predisposed to, we all have a sin nature. So yeah, deal with it. That's why you have to that's why you rely on the power of the Holy Spirit to move forward day in and day out. It's not an excuse though there's nothing I can do about it.
So
that's such a victim mentality. That's definitely not of God.
Yeah. So and we're not saying that it's not a disease. We're the predisposition.
No. It could very well be a disease.
And we can lament that as much as because it's not fair. For some people, it's not fair. It's like, why is it that God made it so that this person can have a drink anytime they want and not have it become a problem, and this person, their personality, they can't. They will never be able to do that. Or this person can punch the clock and go home and not worry about it.
Here's why. Here's what the New Testament says to that. The New Testament says to that, what Paul says is, so that God's grace can be sufficient for you. That's why. Paul says in his letter to Philippians, he said, I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed that this thing would be taken from me. He was talking about a physical ailment. He's like, I prayed and prayed and prayed. He called it his thorn in his flesh. Some people think it was his eyesight was going bad. He was going blind. I prayed and prayed and prayed that God would take it away. 3 times, he says, I prayed, and it never happened. And then he goes, and then I realized this was given to me so that God's grace I would lean more on God's grace. So I don't know why. I don't know. I've got my own issues that you don't have.
Yeah.
So why I have those and you don't, why someone has predisposed to alcoholism and someone's not, I don't know. But what I do know is God gives us all things. All things can be used to make us so we can demonstrate that his grace is sufficient for us. So just because you have any predispositions, disease, whatever word you might want to put to it, does not mean that you that God's grace is not big enough to give you the power and the strength to make decisions that are holy and God honoring. So that's what I mean by it. In some ways, it doesn't matter how we come at it or how we come by it. God's power is real and gives us victory over all things.